Hollywood is a place of dreams, but it's also a place of nightmares. Some actors rise to legendary status, while others see their careers vanish overnight. Sometimes all it takes is one movie to turn a promising career into a cautionary tale. Whether it's a box office disaster, a role that ruined their image, or behind-the-scenes drama that sealed their fate, these films mark the end of Hollywood's love affair with certain actors. But what really happened? And did they ever recover? Let's break down the movies that ended actors' careers, and the surprising stories behind them. Stick around, because you won't believe some of the names on this list. So let's dive in. Eddie Murphy, The Adventures of Pluto Nash, 2002. Let's start with Eddie Murphy. From Beverly Hills Cop to Coming to America, he was one of Hollywood's biggest box office draws. But then came The Adventures of Pluto Nash, a film that became one of the most infamous box office bombs of all time. With a massive $100 million budget and a cast that included Rosario Dawson and Randy Quaid, this sci-fi comedy should have been a hit. Instead, it crashed spectacularly, earning just $7 million worldwide. A loss so staggering that it became one of the biggest financial disasters in film history. So, what went wrong? A weak script, uninspired humor, and a lack of direction made Pluto Nash an easy target for critics, who gave it a dismal 4% on Rotten Tomatoes. Audiences stayed away like it was the plague, and even Murphy himself later admitted that he knew the film was a mistake. While this movie didn't fully end Murphy's career, it severely damaged his momentum. He went from being one of Hollywood's biggest paid leading men to struggling at the box office. After a string of other flops like Norbit, Meet Dave, and Imagine That, Murphy shifted his focus, starring in voice roles like Donkey and Shrek, and taking on fewer live-action projects. Fortunately, Murphy later staged a comeback with Dreamgirls, earning an Oscar nomination, and Dolomite Is My Name, proving that while Pluto Nash hurt his career, it didn't completely erase his legacy. However, it's hard not to wonder, if this movie hadn't happened, would Murphy have remained at the top of Hollywood's A-list for even longer? Number 2. Halle Berry, Catwoman, 2004. Next, we have Halle Berry, an actress at the peak of her career in 2004. After delivering a powerhouse performance in Monsters Ball 2001, she made history as the first black woman to win the Academy Award for Best Actress. Expectations were sky high for her next moves. But then came Catwoman, a movie that derailed her momentum practically overnight. Despite Berry's star power, Catwoman was an absolute disaster from the start, plagued by a weak script, confusing direction, and a bizarre departure from the character's comic book origins. The film was doomed before it even hit theaters. Critics and audiences hated it, leading to a humiliating 9% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It was also a box office bomb, grossing just $82 million worldwide against a $100 million budget. The backlash was so intense that Catwoman swept the Golden Raspberry, or the Razzie Awards, winning Worst Picture, Worst Actress, Worst Director, and Worst Screenplay. But instead of hiding from the criticism, Berry famously attended the ceremony in person while holding her Oscar, and delivered an unforgettable speech. First of all, I want to thank Warner Brothers for casting me in this piece of god-awful movie. It was just what my career needed. I was at the top, and then Catwoman just pummeled me to the bottom. Love it. It's hard being on top. It's much better being on the bottom. While Berry's ability to laugh at the situation earned her respect, Catwoman had lasting consequences for her career. After Catwoman, Berry struggled to regain the A-list opportunities she once had. While she continued acting, many of her later films, such as Perfect Stranger 2007 and Movie 43 2013, failed to reignite her career. However, she found a second wind with films like John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum 2019, and her directorial debut, Bruise 2020, proving that while Catwoman hurt her career, it didn't end it. Still, it's hard not to wonder, if she had taken a different blockbuster role after her Oscar win, Would her career trajectory have been completely different? Number 3. Taylor Kitsch, John Carter, 2012. Do you remember Taylor Kitsch? The Friday Night Lights heartthrob seemed poised for Hollywood stardom, but John Carter ended up being a major setback in his career. With a staggering $250 million budget, Disney had high hopes for the sci-fi epic. However, the film only grossed $284 million worldwide, making it one of the biggest box office bombs in history after factoring marketing and distribution costs, which reportedly pushed its total expenses past $350 million. While John Carter had ambitious visuals, critics and audiences found its narrative confusing and its execution underwhelming. But the biggest casualty of the film's failure was Taylor Kitsch himself. Despite his charisma and leading man looks, he struggled to land major roles afterward. Originally, John Carter was meant to be Kitsch's breakout into blockbuster films after his success as Tim Riggins on Friday Night Lights. Unfortunately, the film's financial disaster tarnished his box office appeal, and his follow-up projects, like Battleship, another flop the same year, did little to change that perception. Though he later impressed with gritty performances such as Paul Woodrogue in True Detective 2015 and roles in Lone Survivor and Waco, he never fully rebounded as a Hollywood leading man. Number 4. Geena Davis, Cutthroat Island. Now our next actor is Geena Davis, who was a major star in the 1980s and 1990s. However, Cutthroat Island, which was meant to be her big comeback, ended up being a complete failure. With millions of dollars spent and approximately just 10% of the expenses recovered since its debut, it was infamously one of the largest box office flops in history. Additionally, it was the film that put a stop to Geena Davis's career. According to critics, Geena Davis was not trying very hard in the movie. There were some moments where, if she cared more about the movie she was in, she probably would have put a bit more effort into her delivery and acting. In the scenes after she gets injured during a big pirate confrontation, she did not sell the damage at all, until it's convenient for her to faint into someone's arms in front of everyone for dramatic effect. Geena was not seen for a while after Cutthroat Island. Her career took a major hit, and she found it challenging to get leading roles afterwards. Number 5. Mike Myers, the Love Guru. We all know that Mike Myers had an outstanding career with hits like Austin Powers and Shrek, but then he decided to take on The Love Guru, a comedy that was supposed to be his big comeback, but turned into a critical and financial failure. The lack of creativity and foul humor in the movie drew criticism. The movie took home many Razzie Awards, including Worst Picture and Worst Actor for Myers. Rotten Tomatoes gave the movie a pitiful 16%, with a few unnamed critics giving it just a few favorable reviews. Also, Myers was heavily criticized for his performance in the movie. One of the critics stated that, "I'm happy to see him fade away. His comedy has become so overused and washed up that I'd rather pay money to watch So I Married an Axe Murderer again to see The Love Guru for free." Myers left the limelight after that, doing a few jobs here and there, while concentrating more on his family life. Number 6. Elizabeth Berkley, Showgirls. Now let's talk about Elizabeth Berkley. She was riding high on her success from Saved by the Bell when she took on the role in Showgirls. When Showgirls first came out, many critics gave it bad reviews because they thought it had a dull tale that exploited women. As for Berkley's character, many people couldn't relate to her and thought she was irritating. Audiences also criticized Berkley's portrayal of Nomi. So Berkley's subsequent choice of roles was affected greatly by the controversy surrounding the movie. During an interview with People in 2020, she said, "It was a life moment, and I cannot help but say I would be a different person had I not gone through the depths of what it taught me. Of course, it was disappointing that it didn't do well, but there was so much cruelty around it. I was bullied, and I didn't understand why I was being blamed." It was difficult for her to overcome the stigma associated with Showgirls, and she had very few roles afterwards. It's a great example of how a single film can both define and ruin a career. Number 7. Judge Reinhold, Vice Versa. Next up, we have Judge Reinhold. In the 80s, he was an icon in Hollywood comedy, particularly after achieving major supporting roles in hits like Beverly Hills Cop and Ruthless People. He had the potential to become one of the most well-known comedians, but then came vice versa in 1988. Sadly, it marked the start of a difficult period for Reinhold. Judge suffered much, in part because of the harsh remarks made by critics. "That was really the end of my highfalutin Hollywood career," Reinhold said in 1992. That's when the phone stopped ringing. Wounded, he left Los Angeles for a small town in New Mexico and eventually had to deal with his past poor behavior on film sets. Once he miserably said, "It was an extremely painful thing for me to recognize and take responsibility for the damage that I'd done." Number 8. Demi Moore, Striptease, 1996. In the mid-1990s, Demi Moore was Hollywood royalty, one of the highest paid and most sought-after actresses in the industry. Hits like Ghost, 1990, A Few Good Men, 1992, and Indecent Proposal, 1993, cemented her A-list status. But then came Striptease, a film that changed the trajectory of her career forever. Moore made headlines when she was paid a record-breaking $12.5 million for the role, at the time the highest salary ever for an actress. But despite her star power, Striptease was a critical and commercial disaster, grossing just $113 million worldwide against a $50 million budget, far below expectations for a film riding on Moore's success. The movie was ridiculed for its uneven tone, and Moore's performance received harsh reviews, leading to her winning the Golden Raspberry Award for Worst Actress in 1997. The fallout wasn't just about the film's failure, it was about Moore herself. Instead of being celebrated for breaking barriers in Hollywood paid equity, she felt punished for her success. In a 2020 interview with Variety, she reflected, "My salary for Striptease became something that I got punished for as opposed to celebrated." While some believe she was unfairly criticized because she was a woman commanding leading man money, the damage had already been done. In 1995, before the film's release, Martin Schaefer of Castle Rock Entertainment defended her. "The reason there's so much discussion is only because she's a woman. She is every bit as valuable as the dozen guys who get comparable money. On an international basis, Demi Moore is the biggest female star in the world." But Striptease was the beginning of a downward spiral for Moore's career. The following year, G.I. Jane 1997 also underperformed, and by the early 2000s, she had largely disappeared from Hollywood's A-list. Though she later returned with roles in Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle 2003, and Margin Call 2011, the momentum she once had never fully returned. Striptease didn't completely end her career, but it marked the moment Hollywood turned its back on her. Number 9. John Travolta, Battlefield Earth, 2000. John Travolta had a massive comeback with Pulp Fiction, 1994, but just a few years later, Battlefield Earth, 2000, nearly destroyed his career. Based on L. Ron Hubbard's novel, Travolta saw it as a passion project, but critics saw it as one of the worst films ever made. With a 3% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, Battlefield Earth was heavily criticized for its messy plot, bizarre camera angles, and over-the-top performances. Financially, it was a disaster, grossing just $29.7 million worldwide against a $73 million budget. The fallout worsened when Franchise Pictures was sued for fraudulently inflating the budget, leading to a $121.7 million lawsuit. Travolta, who championed the film and starred as the villain Turl, took much of the blame. His strong ties to Scientology also fueled controversy, making it even harder to recover. Though he still landed roles in Swordfish 2001 and Ladder 49 2004, Battlefield Earth permanently damaged his credibility as a leading man. Even years later, the film remains a Hollywood punchline, and Travolta's career never fully rebounded. Number 10. Jennifer Grey, The Nose Job That Changed Everything. After Dirty Dancing 1987, Jennifer Grey was on the verge of superstardom. But in 1989, a nose job drastically altered her appearance, making her nearly unrecognizable to fans and casting directors alike. Though some speculate that Wind, 1992, was the film that derailed her career, it was the fact that Hollywood no longer saw her as the same actress. Grey later admitted in her memoir, Out of the Corner, that she felt like she had banished herself from the industry. She struggled to land roles for nearly a decade, but later found success on TV, even winning Dancing with the Stars in 2010, proving that her talent never faded even if Hollywood lost sight of her. So, the next time you're watching a movie, remember that behind every performance is a unique journey filled with ambition, risks, and sometimes unexpected setbacks. Hollywood may be a land of dreams, but it's also a place where even the brightest stars can fade, only to shine again in a few ways. What do you think? Which films or actors have surprised you the most with their career twists? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We love to hear from you. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with your friends. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the world of cinema. Hey, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.